So Rav Ovadia Yosef was the chief rabbi of Israel from 1979 to 19, I believe, 89 or 92, something like that. And he was ordained as a dayan in Cairo, where he was born at the age of 17. So that meant that he already learned not only all the Talmud, but also all the ways of psika, of concluding halacha. And his very unique way in deciding halacha was based on last week's Torah portion, where it says "Acharei Rabim Latot," to rule according to the majority. And so, because he had a phenomenon memory, some people say that he had a absolute like visual memory, so he remembered not only which chapter and verse, but also what page it was on in the book. I don't know that I ever saw something specific like that, but anyway, so he would bring like 90 opinions, and 46 of them would say one thing, and 44 would say the other, and so he would rule according to the 46. Um, and so when he became a lot more popular with people, and they wanted him to be able to reach not only his yeshiva but also the larger crowds, and they set up a satellite dish that was set up in the Bukhari Shul in Jerusalem, and he would go there right after Shabbos and give a 3 hour class, approximately 3 hours, and discuss things that were somewhat connected to the parsha, not always, but he would just go from one halacha to the next and explain what his opinion is. And his son, not Rav Yitzchak Yosef, but Rav Yaakov Yosef, wrote all this down and published it in a 15-volume work called Yalkut Yosef. Um, so the reason I'm bringing this story as an introduction is Rav Melamed says the following about YAD SOLEDET. So literally, that your hand jerks out or away from something hot. It's an automatic response to save us from getting burnt. And the fundamental issues in the laws of Shabbat is establishing the temperature of Yad Soledet, temperature at which the hand recoils. Sages state that this is the minimum temperature that is still capable of cooking food. In those days, they didn't have Celsius or Fahrenheit. So, however, it is uncertain precisely what this term refers to. Does it refer to a level of heat that the hand can only stand to touch for a few seconds? If so, this would be approximately 71 Celsius, which according to my unit calculator is 159.8 Fahrenheit. Alternatively, does it refer to a level of heat that becomes unpleasant for one's hand after a few minutes? If so, this would be approximately 45, which is what most Ashkenazim poskim say, and that is 113 Fahrenheit. So, in all of the modern books of cooking on Shabbat in the kit or the Shabbos kitchen, and there's many of R Scroll and YU and other people that publish such books, 45 is the one that people refer to, because when we have a safek, a question, what the halacha is, if it relates to a rabbinical question, we can be more lenient. But if it comes to a Torah prohibition, we have to be more stringent. So that's why they said 113 instead of 159. So now let's take a break from this introduction and share a story about or a halacha of Rav Ovadia Yosef. So Rav Ovadia Yosef was asked about drinking coffee and tea and other hot beverages, and the question was, do you make a bracha achona, the blessing after, usually borei nefashot, for drinking hot tea or coffee? And in a very cute way, he said, Achenu Ashkenazim, our brethren, the Ashkenazi Jews, can definitely make a bracha achorna, the last blessing, borei nefashot, because they drink it when it's already lukewarm or even cold. That's the wording that he used. He said, but the Sephardim take sips even of very, very hot coffee and tea. And I can testify, I think I mentioned it when we were learning about prayer before dawn. There was a very cold winter day, and davening started at 4:30 in the morning, and this guy came in maybe 15 minutes late, And so instead of coming right into the shul with his talis and tefillin, he went to the side kitchen and prepared himself a hot tea with mint. And during the whole Kriyat Shema, we heard so. So Rav Yosef said that the Sephardim should not say a bracha achorona because they never had a mouthful of the tea or coffee because they drink it very, very hot. Um, so that gives us a little bit of an indication about what YAD SOLEDET really is and why it's important for Shabbat, not only for the laws of brachot. According to many poskim, since the matter remains in doubt, one must be stringent because, like we said, safek doraita l'chumra, heat of 45 Celsius, 113 Fahrenheit, must be considered capable of cooking. Thus, one may not put raw food into a pot that has reached a temperature of 45 C or higher. Similarly, one may not place raw food near enough to a fire that it could reach 113 Fahrenheit. This definition is also important for how the laws of bishul apply to water. One may not raise the temperature of water from below yad soledbo to yad soledbo or higher. And we talked yesterday a little bit about hatmana, about covering, which might raise the temperature just because the material that's covering is such that it can add heat. However, if the water has already reached yad soledbo, it is considered cooked, and one may continue to heat it further because of en bishul achar bishul, the law that we can't, but that there is no further cooking after cooking. I mean, there technically is, but we don't need the result of such. Cold water may be left near the plata as long as the water is in a place where it would not reach yad soledbo, even if it remained there for an entire day. Thus, in practice, one must be careful not to heat water to between 45 and 71, 113 or 159, since we do not know the precise temperature of yad soledbo. Any heating that in that range may be considered bishul, but one may heat outside of this range. For example, if water has been heated to 71 C or 159 Fahrenheit, one may then put the water in a place where it will get hotter because of en bishul achar bishul. Similarly, one may put cold water in a place where it will heat up as long as the water does not exceed 44 C or slightly below 113, because this kind of heating does not qualify as bishul. There is another important position that defines yad soledbo. This position maintains that food or drink that most people would be able to consume all at once cannot be considered yad soledbo. That's what we talked about, filling your mouth, or at least one side of your mouth, with this hot drink or food. However, if most people would be unable to eat or drink it all at once, that is a sign that it is yad soledbo. So basically, it really depends, for lack of a better word, on how we ourselves are used to. There's people that shower in much hotter water than most, and I think that women are already used to hotter water. They wash dishes with hot water, but a man would be less inclined to do that if it's really hot water. Thus, it would be considered cooked, and one may heat it further. In a case of necessity, one may rely on this position. And last, to create a safeguard, the sages prohibited leaving water in a place where it could potentially reach yad soledbo, even if one is standing there watching and waiting to remove the water before it reaches that point. And that would be really because you're not supposed to be in the kitchen trying to prevent Chilul Shabbat. Everything's supposed to be prepared from before Shabbat, as we saw in the first chapter or second chapter, and they were concerned that a person watching might get distracted and forget to remove the water before it reaches Yad Soledbo, thus making him guilty of indirectly cooking on Shabbat. However, if there is no possibility that the water will reach Yad Soledbo, even if it remains there for an extended period of time, one may place the water there. So to bring to room temperature basically is allowed, as long as everything was already cooked, because there's no bishul achar bishul. And we'll stop here.